Hi, my name is Denisha Malcolm, and I want to talk to you about your rights to protest and the rights of protesters. I don't intend to take a side, only to inform you of your rights and give you insight from a recent protest I participated in. On June 13th, 2020, I participated in a march against injustice with my peers at Prairie View A&M University. Along this 7-mile march, I felt empowered. We were fighting for a change, and all of the businesses that shut their doors and viewed us with anger only fueled my motivation. A few months later, protests and rallies were being held, but the reasoning was different. These were Trump rallies and parades honoring a man who incites violence. I started to fear for my safety as they began to become more aggressive. Claims have even been made that they drove the Biden-Harris campaign off the road. These actions had me question, are they still within their rights? Can we still protest even if it incites violence? The right to assemble is clearly stated in our First Amendment rights. So here are some things you might want to know given to us by the ACLU. If you are organizing a protest, your rights are the strongest in what are known as traditional public forums, such as streets, sidewalks, and parks. You also likely have the right to speak out on other public property, like plazas in front of government buildings, as long as you're not blocking access to the government building or interfering with other purposes the property was designed for. Private property owners can set rules for speech on their property. The government may not restrict your speech if it is taking place on your own property or with the consent of the property owner. Counter-protesters also have free speech. Police must treat protesters and counter-protesters equally. Police are permitted to keep antagonist groups separated, but should allow them to be within sight and sound of one another. When you are lawfully present in any public space, you have the right to photograph anything in plain view, including federal buildings and the police. On private property, the owner may set rules related to photography or video. You don't need a permit to march in the streets or on sidewalks, as long as marchers don't obstruct cars or pedestrian traffic. If you don't have a permit, police officers can ask you to move to the side of a street or sidewalk to let others pass for safety reasons. Certain types of events may require permits. These include a march or parade that requires blocking traffic or street closures, a large rally requiring the use of sound amplifying devices, or a rally over a certain size at most parks or plazas. While certain permit procedures require submitting an application well in advance of the planned event, police can't use those procedures to prevent a protest in response to breaking news events. Restrictions on the route of a march or sound equipment might violate the First Amendment if they are unnecessary for traffic control or public safety, or if they interfere significantly with effective communication to the intended audience. A permit cannot be denied because the event is controversial or will express unpopular views. If the permit regulations that apply to your protest require a fee for a permit, they should allow a waiver for those who cannot afford the charge. If you believe your rights have been violated while protesting or organizing your protest, here's what you need to do. When you can, write down everything you remember, including the officer's badge and patrol car numbers and the agency they work for. Get contact information for witnesses. Take photographs of any injuries. Once you have all of this information, you can file a written complaint with the agency's Internal Affairs Division or Civilian Complaint Board. If you are attending a protest, your rights are the strongest in traditional public forums, just like if you are organizing a protest. The things you need to be aware of is when you are lawfully present in any public space, you have the right to photograph anything in plain view, including federal buildings and the police. The same goes with the private property if you're organizing. If you feel as though your rights have been violated, you would follow the same steps as if you were organizing the protest. If the police issues In order to disperse the protest, you need to know the following. Shutting down a protest through a dispersal order must be law enforcement's last resort. Police may not break up a gathering unless there is a clear and present danger of riot, disorder, interference with traffic, or other immediate threat to public safety. If officers issue a dispersal order, they must provide a reasonable opportunity to comply, including sufficient time and a clear, unobstructed exit path. Individuals must receive clear and detailed notice of a dispersal order, including how much time they have to disperse, the consequences of failing to disperse, and what clear exit route they can follow before they may be arrested or charged with any crime. I hope this information has provided you with the confidence to attend your next protest or maybe even organize your own. There might be protests that we do not agree with, but as long as we stay within our rights, no harm shall be done. That is the beauty of America. If you don't like it, protest it.